It is the nostalgia of the president, and we know the nostalgia of another time and place. That other time, maybe 28,000 employees at Buick City in Flint, Michigan. I've observed it. It was remarkable, folks, to see the 28,000 come out of that factory and dash across Industrial Avenue to the bars after the shift as they built Buicks for America. Dan Kildee is the congressman from the 5th Congressional District. It's all fancy, Dan. It's all nostalgic. You don't live nostalgia. You live reality. What do you in Michigan need from Mari Barra this morning?
Well, I would like a reverse course. I think that the American worker, and particularly workers for General Motors, can build anything. And as they think about how they're going to redistribute their manufacturing capacities, I think they ought to lean heavily toward rebuilding here in the country that stepped up when the American auto industry, and specifically when General Motors, was in deep trouble. It wasn't that long ago that the American government, to much controversy, stepped up and made sure that that industry stayed solvent. I think there's a special obligation that that company has to this country. And look, I understand it's a global company, but these are human decisions that are made as well. And I just, for the people in my hometown, where General Motors was founded, we would like to see more focus on developing more capacity here in America.
On the path of the Kildees, from your Uncle Dale on to you, there's been a wage labor arbitrage within the auto industry. Do you ascertain that still American auto labor is not competitive with global labor?
Actually, it is quite competitive now, and much to the chagrin of a lot of workers, but that's the reality. There's been a two-tier wage schedule. There have been significant benefit changes. So it's much more competitive. But I think what we're learning is that the certainty of production here, I think, brings some real value to these companies. And so, you mentioned that Buick City site and Industrial Avenue. I mean, you painted a picture, really, of my childhood. That's where my grandfather went to work. That's what brought my grandfather, my whole family, to Flint, Michigan in the first place. So, it's hard for me to stand back when General Motors was literally founded in Flint, Michigan in 1908. And we went from 79,000 jobs to now maybe around 10,000 or less. It's hard to see the company make decisions that we think in the long term really don't benefit the American economy or the American worker.
As you well know, your district elected Donald Trump. The swing from Mr. Obama to Mrs. Clinton was radical within your 5th Congressional District. What do you need to see from the president right now? You put him in office.
Well, I encouraged and was encouraged by the president's willingness to renegotiate the North American Free Trade Agreement. I'm awaiting the details on that before we make a decision. But I'll give him credit where credit's due. That was a step that I think was long overdue. I would like to see him address these steel and aluminum tariffs, because I think in the long term that's actually bad for American manufacturing, not a good thing. I'd like to see him address that. I'd like to see a much greater focus from the federal government on skills and on apprenticeships. But we need to have a manufacturing policy in this country that is not based on, sort of the latest tweet. The other thing, and this is an area of some sensitivity, the president needs to stop making promises that are falsehoods. One of the reasons that he succeeded, the weakness that Hillary Clinton presented was certainly one, but one main reason is that people were looking for hope. And he came to Michigan in the election. He actually came to Warren, Michigan, which is where one of those factories is closing, and said, "You will not lose your factory. I promise you, you will not lose your factory." That's almost a direct quote. People are looking for someone to give them comfort. And I don't think folks, discerned that that was just rhetoric. The president needs to level with the American people and stop trying to sort of butter his own bread and actually do the job of being the president of the United States. Tell them the truth. Tell them that there are some hard facts that we're going to have to face, and set a path forward, not just give false hope. That's how he won the election, on this notion that he was going to bring these jobs back. He's been quite literally made a fool by his own words.
Congressman Steve Ratner, the car czar, has said, look, we came in, we saved General Motors, et cetera, and we're on to a capitalism that clears the economy. I want you to speak for everybody that wants their SUV built back in America. Maybe not Michigan, maybe it's built in Texas, maybe it's built in the Carolinas, down by the BMW complex. Why can't we build these cars in America?
I think we can. I think the real question is whether or not the companies are either going to be incentivized or be led in a way that allows them to reward the country that actually has stood for them. We can do it. I have great faith in the American worker. With the advance of technology, obviously there's a new challenge in the workplace and manufacturing, but I have great confidence that if we provide those workers with the skills they need, we can build anything.
What do you want from Speaker Pelosi? It's been a heck of a battle here for the last number of days. There's a vote today. Tell me how Speaker Pelosi fits into the new Democrat Party.
I think the real question for Democrats is less going to be about personalities. Look, and I'm a supporter of Speaker Pelosi, but I think it has to be much less about the personalities and a lot more about what our agenda is. So what I'm looking for is a bold agenda on infrastructure, on rebuilding our older industrial cities, on focusing on skills, on fixing the sort of broken government that we have. I think Democrats or anyone is going to be judged on what we do, not just who we are.